And welcome to the Town of Sykesville Mayor and Town Council meeting. This evening is all day, actually, has been Monday, November 8th. We'll call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Carrie, please put up the agenda. And there's that loud car. Perfect timing. Carrie's got the agenda up on the screen for us so that the public can see the information that I'm about to read aloud. The meeting is being held via Zoom teleconference and is being streamed live on Town of Sykesville's Facebook page. If you are watching us live via Facebook but wish to provide public comment, you'll need to call 301-715-8592. The meeting ID number is 846-347-3437. Let me start over. 846-3437-2945, and the password is 669178. Or you can join the meeting online via the Zoom link, also showing on the agenda on the screen. The Zoom teleconference information is always posted publicly with each meeting agenda. So if there's anyone wishing to make public comment this evening, you can take this opportunity to call in while we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence. Thank you, everybody. All right, we'll start off this evening as we do all of our town council meetings with public comment. That is our first order of business. If you're on the phone and you'd like to make a comment, please press *9. Otherwise, you can press the raise hand button on your Zoom screen. Carrie, do we have any general public comments?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Okay, thank you. So I will skip the next portion of my, here we go. All right, so we'll start off our business this evening with the consent agenda, which is inclusive of the minutes from our October 12th, 2021 meeting. And a proclamation for the Municipal Government Works Month. And much to the dismay of everybody in this room, I'm going to read it aloud. The proclamation goes like this. Whereas the town of Sykesville was incorporated in 1904, whereas Maryland is home to 156 other municipalities, and whereas municipal government represents the most responsive level of government, allowing citizens to have direct access to elected officials, and whereas in an effort to educate citizens about municipal government and the importance of their participation, the town of Sykesville is proud to promote municipal government awareness. And whereas municipalities have enhanced the quality of life for their respective residents by providing useful and valuable services, maintaining natural and historic sites and structures, and helping to make Maryland a great place to live, work, play, and explore. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and Town Council of the Town of Sykesville, do hereby join the Maryland Municipal League in proclaiming November 2021 to be Municipal Government Works Month in Sykesville. So unless there's any discussion regarding those two items on the consent agenda, you know what I'm looking for.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All right, so motion is made by Councilman Grassley, second by Council President Carter. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is a unanimous passage of the consent agenda. Carrie. And the next item of business is unfinished business. And that is the public hearing on ordinance number 2021-05, the noise ordinance. Before I open the public hearing, Joe, if you wouldn't mind informing us of anything on this matter.
Yes, ma'am. So again, this is just a continuation of the discussion we had last month regarding the noise ordinance. So there were several adjustments to the ordinance based on those discussions that were made. One is an adjustment there to the first section, making it clear that any noise being created either by a person or being allowed to be created by that person, either by machines or animals that may be owned by that person, would still obviously apply to this. We did include basically what's going to, at least what I refer to as a catch-all phrase, just to make sure that if there was any question that it would just fall under that that last paragraph there. And then I know there was some discussion last time regarding the penalty for this particular ordinance. Again, the disturbing the peace section does contain that penalties clause. So again, though it's not specifically written in this ordinance, it does in fact still apply. And then the only final item that was not included in the packet or even on the draft that was presented to council members is we did get one public comment over the weekend, or actually late Friday over the weekend, and it was just a clarification on the lewd and obscene section there in the beginning to make it clear that it's both lewd and obscene words or lewd and obscene epithets. So again, we did make that change as well, just to make it clear that it applied to both words and epithets.
Great, thank you for the clarification.
No
So at this time, I would call for a motion to go into the public hearing.
Motion to go into public hearing?
Thank you, Councilman Grassley, second.
Second.
Second, thank you so much, Jeremiah Schofield, councilman. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And I actually am gonna use this gavel for the first time because I keep forgetting to do so. So we are now in public hearing. I'll now call for public comments on the proposed ordinance. If you're on the phone and would like to make comment, please press *9. Otherwise, you can ask by pushing the raise hand button on the Zoom screen. Carrie, do we have any members of the public looking as if they would like to provide us with comment?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Should we wait?
Correct.
Oh, we have one member here of the public, our treasurer.
And no comment.
No comment on this particular proposal. Okay.
Make a motion to close public hearing?
Second.
Good deal. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I hear no opposed, so that passes unanimously. And just like that, at 7:06, 39 seconds after it was open, public hearing is now closed. Our next item of business is to actually consider, discuss, and act on the adoption of ordinance number 2021-05, noise ordinance. At this time, does the council have any questions for staff regarding the proposed noise ordinance?
No.
Chief, are you okay with the wording?
I am. I was given the opportunity to give some input and did so. So
Okay,
very pleased with it.
all right.
Chief, thank you, Councilman Grassley.
Just one. No ambiguities in it or whatever?
Ambiguity. That'll work. So we're good on that. Great.
I don't have a question, but I still have the same concerns that I've expressed previously last month with the wording of section 1, where it doesn't provide a time for making of the lewd or obscene words or epithets, mostly in reference to the potential of a protest. That's where I'm coming from. I think people should be able to share their opinions freely, even if some would take them in as obscene, and that can range a very large spectrum across the board. I asked for a revision of that language. We decided last time that it wasn't going to go that way, but I would feel as though that I was remiss if I didn't bring it up again. Thanks.
I appreciate that, Councilman Schofield. I guess in response to that, and this is a question for staff, would a person's completion or submission of a right to protest, assemble on public property, preempt any portion of this particular ordinance, or would it be considered, again, at the discretion of a complaint and the pursuant police response? Would that be considered?
I mean, again, just for the enforcement alone, obviously I'll leave that up to chief, but again, as long as the protest was not lewd or obscene,
Yes.
Sure.
it should be able to continue uninterrupted regardless of this ordinance.
Thank you.
And for clarification, I have no issues with our current police force. That's not the issue. The issue is that, putting these ordinances in place, they'll likely be in place for a very long time. And I don't know what the future police force will look like. It could change, and there could be differing opinions down the road, boys.
Sure. No, I certainly understand your point on people's First Amendment rights, and I can assure you that we will allow all people to exercise their First Amendment rights, certainly within reason, within the parameters of the noise ordinance, and as we did in the prior protests, it went well, and I would assume that they will continue to go well.
Thanks, Chief. Any other comments or questions in the form of conversation, discussion amongst the council? Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2021-05 noise ordinance.
thank you, Councilman Grassley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Council President Carter. All in favor? Actually, I'm so sorry. Before I call for a vote, is there any further need to debate this motion? Because now the motion's been made. Okay, so now I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
So ordinance number 2021-05, noise ordinance passes with a vote of 6-1. And that brings us up. That brings us to our next item of business, which is new business, which is to consider, discuss, and act on a request for an addition to the Sykesville station. Next is for the council to, I guess, be given the information from staff regarding what nuances there are related to this particular request. As it stands now, this is the train station built in 1883 in Queen Anne Victorian style. It's the anchor to our, at least the southern anchor to our historic district, and the town happens to own the building for the sake of the public information. So at this point, I'll ask Joe to bring us up to speed.
Sure. So, like the mayor said, this is obviously an expansion of a building that the town does own. The historic structure, obviously, the train station is not necessarily being the request here. It's the kitchen building that's kind of added on to the edge of the train station building. Obviously, the plans for that kitchen addition have not been finalized yet. They obviously haven't gone through any planning commission process or anything like that. They actually want to get permission from the council before they continue down that road. This is, I don't want to call it a technicality or a formality, but again, in our lease with the current occupants of Sykesville Station, there is a requirement that any proposed addition to the building has to be approved by this council. Typically, minor improvements, little things, we usually handle on a staff level, because this is an addition to the building that, you know, eventually, well, it will still be ours, obviously, once it's done. We want to make sure the council is, one, aware that it's potentially going to happen, and two, just to say that if this does move forward and council does approve it, it still has to go through planning commission process, historic district approval, and building permit process through the county. So again, I don't want to say this is a formality, but again, we wanted to make sure that we got at least this type of approval on the front end before they continue to go down the road of the possibility of expanding that kitchen area.
That makes sense. Thanks, Joe. I'll start off this conversation or discussion if that's cool with everyone. Just made a few notes here for myself. Basically, any and all concerns I might have would all be addressed at the Planning Commission and or Historic District Commission. I have 100% confidence that that'll happen. But just wanted to go out on the record and just basically say that obviously I wouldn't be at all interested in the train station being modified in a way where it substantively was changed or altered in from a historic perspective. And I'm quite sure that or I'm working under the assumption, I should say, that the owners of the restaurant inside the station at Sykesville Station would agree. So I just want to throw that out there. And my only question is, again, with respect to something that will be addressed in the Planning Commission, would be, Joe, do you know from the sketches that were provided, because I know they're just that, they're pencil sketches, to your knowledge, are any of the existing parking spaces going to be at risk for being affected?
No, this doesn't affect any of the parking spaces or the parking lot. This is really just a shrinking down a little bit of that back deck area so that it can accommodate some storage, so that the kitchen has a little more free range in the building that it's in.
So yeah, so we don't want to sacrifice for function's sake any kind of historical significance, and or use of the parking lot. So that sounds good to me. Are there any concerns or questions? We can start with Leo.
No, I'm confident that the Planning Commission, the Historic District Commission will properly review this for us.
So are they looking for more capacity out of the kitchen or just a better functioning kitchen? Do you know?
Well, again, to me, it's a storage question. Right now, they're keeping a lot of their materials, a lot of the foodstuffs inside the kitchen. They want to actually create a dedicated space for that, so that there's more free room to operate in the kitchen itself.
Okay.
So it's a storage room, not kitchen equipment going in there.
Correct.
Okay. And it says existing deck.
I'm sorry.
It says remove existing deck. So I'm trying to just picture where this is. You know, is this an outside deck? Is this part of the current seating?
It's part of where right now you can walk through there, though I believe it's really just supposed to be for employees, but I would imagine people walk through there quite a bit. Because it does just kind of open, that side of the deck just kind of opens up down to the concrete pad and then to the parking lot.
Joe, they put that fence there now.
Oh,
I was gonna
that's
say,
right.
yeah, I don't think anyone goes out that.
They used to come in that way before they put the pad that we approved,
Yep.
Oh, okay.
but now it's all fenced in. Well, it's like a wrought iron fencing.
And I think that's showing on the the elevation, not the floor plan. I don't know if Carrie can hear me and scan
You see
or
this one right here?
slide up to
Yeah,
the,
no, I was just
one
trying
above
to
it.
like picture where this addition, because it says
Well,
remove deck.
yeah,
but-
it'll actually, I think it's easier to see in the side, in that
Yeah.
elevation that Carrie's putting up.
I think that they're gonna have to remove that deck because it's just a regular deck. In order to make it appropriate and to code, they'll have to remove it and redo it.
Okay.
But I do believe it's the same footprint as the outside deck of the
Correct. Yeah,
existing.
they're not expanding it
Yeah,
past.
if you can see,
the
this
footprint.
elevation helps. The roof line's being raised, and then the actual width, if you will, is remaining the same, but it will get longer left to right, minimally.
It's raising the roof.
The roof line is, the roof pitch is going to change. So like right now, it's that lower version of the roof pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And then the higher roof will extend out further because they're going to increase the depth.
Oh, this is from behind. Got it.
Yeah, this is if you're standing, sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. And any questions on my left? Concerns, comments?
I want to make a quick comment about the parking spaces. We're going to address that in a future meeting because we have to talk about repaving that parking lot.
Yes, we do. The entire design and layout of, I should have actually said, will the existing layout be affected? Because I hope for it to be changed sometime soon.
In the future.
Good point. Thank you. Okay. So without any further questions, is there a motion put forth?
Are they looking for a motion for approval, Joe?
Well, again, it does have to be approved by the council before we can move forward any closer. So there is a recommended motion in the staff report.
Yeah,
So-
and it's important because there's some nuances in there that I'm concerned about being read as part of the motion.
You're concerned about.
It needs to be in the motion.
You gotta scroll all the way down.
Okay, I make a motion to authorize the tenants at Sykesville Station to move forward with their request to expand the kitchen building with the understanding that they will need to follow all Planning Commission, Historic District Commission, and building permit approval procedures prior to beginning any work.
Second.
Thank you. So first motion made by Councilman Keenan and second by Councilman Schofield. Is there any further debate regarding the motion put forth? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so that motion has passed unanimously. Moving right along, look at that clock. Announcements, reports. The next meeting is Monday, November 22nd, 2021. And looking ahead to the November 22nd meeting, as is always the case with our second meeting in November, it always falls on the Monday of Thanksgiving. And we have plans for a workshop and not a formal business meeting that evening. Is there a preference here amongst the council to move that meeting to next Monday, a week from this evening, the 15th, as a, I guess, convenience so that Thanksgiving plans for those that might be traveling won't be.
So I will be out of state from the 10th to the 15th, but I can call in on the road to that meeting if the council wants to move it to the 15th.
Okay.
I too will be out of state starting tomorrow until such time as my mother is back to normal
Okay.
from her hospitalization, but I will do my best to dial in as well.
Okay. So you may not even be present on the 22nd, is your point? It's
That
possible.
could happen,
Okay.
yes. That's the far end of my trip, but it could happen. So I would recommend you go with the majority, and I will make accommodations as necessary.
Okay, dutiful son and retired guy. Information heard. How about you, Council President? Any
No
Preference?
concerns.
Okay.
I'm homebound.
Homebound? Okay. So no preference between the 15th and the 22nd. Anyone else have any comments regarding a change in plans or?
I'll be in a DSC board meeting on the 15th.
Of course you will. Okay, that's right. Okay,
No, I missed the last one, so I've got to be there.
okay, understood. So with that said, I guess at this point, show of hands, anybody would be opposed to moving it to the 15th? Say aye. Opposed to the 15th? Okay. Who would prefer the 22nd? Okay. So I'm gonna say we should just stick to the 22nd. Okay. And again, this is going to be workshop format, not a regular business meeting, and call-ins are perfectly acceptable if you can't be here in person. And for that matter, yeah, that's great. So we'll keep it the 22nd. Next announcement is we have volunteer opportunities available on the Historic District Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, Planning Commission, Police Auxiliary, and Crossing Guard. Though I'm hoping the positions for Crossing Guard are less than they were the last time I made that announcement.
Certainly are.
Awesome.
We're working on that.
Fantastic. Yeah, so if anybody has any interest in filling, or at least submitting their interest for any of these positions, please email town@sykesville.net for more information about volunteering with the town. Next announcement. Due to the Veterans Day holiday, recycling will not be picked up on Thursday, as it normally is for those who gets their recycling picked up on Thursdays. It will be instead picked up on Friday, the 12th, while staff and the town is closed and staff has off. It is in fact Veterans Day on the 11th, and I just at this point just publicly want to acknowledge our veterans, and I'm sure that those who are listening and those at the table here will pay their solemn respects as well to our veterans who have served. And the next update would be coming forth from our town manager, Joe Cosentini. Please.
Just a few quick things. I did want to let everybody know that the trail work, or the repair work to the linear trail was completed. I actually walked it today. It looks very good. So glad to get that done. There is a little bit of, this is getting us a project, open space project. So there is a little bit of funding left over. We'll be working with Spark to improve the exercise stations there along the linear trail. I want to say there's around 15,000 left or so we should be able to make a pretty decent dent in what's there. So very happy about that. Spark also had another, let's call it a mini cleanup event over the weekend at the linear trail, the swing sets area there around the linear trail. Able to replace lots more mulch there. We missed you, Al.
I'm sorry.
We missed you there.
My shoulders are
It was
sore.
okay. It was okay. It was semi last minute, and it was just something we wanted to try to get in before the season turned super cold. But again, it was nice to see everybody out there. And then finally, I will be meeting with our engineering group on Wednesday to go over just what Council President Carter mentioned is the parking lot there at Sykesville Station, plus lots of other capital projects that are pending around town. So again, I think if we have some of that engineering information, it's going to allow us to make better decisions as we move forward in deciding how to spend ARP money or just future capital dollars that the town has.
Love it.
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, that'll help immensely having the engineering studies done for our strategic planning that will be up and coming in the new year. Cool.
The timeline for the equipment next spring?
The goal would be next spring. Trying to think for the next Spark meeting. It probably won't be on a Spark agenda until January. So then that should give us enough time to bid the project and get things moving.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Joe? All right. So that brings us to Craig for our treasurer's report, please.
Awesome. We got your mic this time.
So I gotta go up there?
Step on the spider.
Yeah, I saw that.
No, don't kill the spider.
That's a cricket. It's a cricket.
Cricket.
Oh, I
Well, this
thought
is
you were
really
gonna
nice.
use
I had
spider.
nothing, I wanna put something here.
Really crawling up
I
against
complain
the-
about this. I can't get this, but anyway.
I just like messing with you, man.
Craig, pull up a chair.
Just kidding. At this time, I'd like to present the October Treasuries report to the mayor and council. Hopefully you've had a chance to review. Maybe, maybe not. Obviously, Councilman Grassley had some interesting questions that I hope you all saw and then saw my answers as well. Is there any questions regarding that? Pretty straightforward, I think. At this time, wow, Carrie put up my revenue for 1 second. At this time, I'd like to say, I mean, obviously, we're a third of the way through already. Just like that, we're 4 months in. I think that's, geez, I can't get over how fast time's flying. But anyway, as I think I was talking about last month, I'm really happy with the way everything's tracking. I mean, the revenue is definitely in really good shape in all like buckets, basically. I think the only small issue is the postal income. And I don't see that changing. I just think, a lot of people are deciding to do other methodology since the mail has gotten so kind of messed up that people are deciding to go another route. So obviously people aren't utilizing the post office anymore.
But our post office is running like a well-oiled machine.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Of course, with that said, if you look at the expense side, that is also way low. So we're not really like losing out per se in terms of like, like a net loss or anything going on there. So it's kind of flat line. So you got that going for us. So that's a good thing.
But come to the post office and buy your stamps for all of your Christmas cards.
Yes.
Yes.
Mail them now.
And mail them tomorrow.
If you're thirsty, there's water there to be had too. You can grab some pictures. You could get a picture too. And in terms of the expenses, same with the expenses. I think they're all tracking nicely. I think at this point, I don't know if you saw the bottom line. We have like a very healthy net surplus at the moment of almost 700,000. Don't get overly excited about because obviously there's still some significant expenses around the corner. I mean, obviously Councilman Grassley already talked about the retirement plan expense, which is probably a total about 160,000 coming next month. As well as we've kind of laid off some of the capital project, the public works, the trash and recycle project, which is like 200,000. We haven't engaged in that yet, so that's another 200,000 expense that's gonna hit us sometime.
Coming around the corner.
Coming around the corner. So, but obviously, being in the shape that we're in, we're obviously can handle it. We're in really good shape here right now. So, don't really have any other comments at this time. Anybody have any exciting questions? Go ahead.
I do, just for public record, most of our income is off of property taxes. It is not off of income taxes like other
There's
counties.
a decent portion for the income taxes. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't. You could do one down.
Yeah.
It's
because-
roughly half. It's roughly 1.5 million for property taxes and 750 or so on income tax.
Whereas in other municipalities and government agencies, a lot of their income comes from income tax.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't really know how other
It's a good
municipalities
question.
have it, but ours is, roughly that.
Okay, I just wanted to have it on public record.
Mhm.
I guess that's true. Just trying to think if Westminster's like that or not. It'd be interesting to know. I might have to look that up. Do a little research on the side.
Anyone else questions for
Anybody else have any
Craig
questions?
regarding the
at this
treasurer's
time?
report? Cool.
All
Thank
right.
you as usual, Craig, for
Thank
your
you.
thoroughness. And
Appreciate it.
I know it's
We had 5 days this time.
I was just
Still
gonna
banged
say-
it out.
I was just gonna
It's a
say
record.
this
I
was-
really think it's a record.
This was the shortest period of time, I think, between the end of the month and a council meeting. Yeah, good for you.
You failed the Men in Black test, though. You know the Men in, yeah, where you had to pull the table over
Oh,
to
yeah.
figure out how to write. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Oh,
So,
let's get a table on the side here.
next up, without a podium and only a microphone, is the Chief Spalding to present our public safety report, please, sir.
Chief, you can stay in your seat.
I have a lot more papers than you, Craig.
Well, if you had a table,
You do have a
Appreciate that,
microphone,
Mary.
Chief, you're
Thank you.
good, thank you.
All right, we're going to talk about the public safety report. This is actually a bigger one than normal since it also covers that last period where I guess you guys had a workshop and I wasn't here. So it's covering October 5th through the 31st. As you can see, 728 total events. Just some of the highlights, 17 assist other agency, 11 community policing, 468 patrol checks, which is a lot, and 27 traffic enforcement initiatives. You'll notice we had quite a few incident reports written during this period, 26 to be exact. If you have any questions about any of those, I'd be more than happy to answer those at this time.
Thanks, Chief. Leo, anything?
No, I don't have any.
Al?
Nope.
Lisa?
Just an update on the incident up at the Shell station.
Glad you asked. That was at the top of my list. I was going to certainly talk about that because we have some very good news. 2 suspects are in custody in Baltimore County, and we believe they are responsible for over 30 of these smash and grabs burglaries throughout Carroll, Hartford, Howard County, as well as Baltimore County. So excellent job of coordination by our officers with detectives from all these different jurisdictions. And we think, like I said, in the end, we hope that we'll be able to charge these 2 suspects with our case here in town. If not only the Shell station, but maybe the Big Belly Deli
That's
as
what I
well.
was gonna,
'Cause
do we know if they're connected?
we don't know for a fact that they're related, but just due to the proximity in time and the similar MO, we believe that they were responsible for that as well. So
Very nice.
very exciting news. It's not often that you catch, these guys were actually caught in the act of committing another burglary in Baltimore County. Actually, I got to give full credit to the Howard County's repeat offender unit who were monitoring the suspects and actually caught them in the act of committing another burglary. So very good work by all the officers involved. So very happy to say that.
Thank you.
Of course.
Nothing from you,
No
Anna?
questions? Thank you.
So, Chief, just want to say again, appreciate all the community policing. It's a continuation. You'll probably hear me say that many times.
Never get tired of hearing you thank us.
With the idea being that more is better. So I'll throw that out there too as maybe a challenge. It's the way to show police force working in a good way. Some early reports coming out of some places that decided to defund police to a certain level are showing that that doesn't necessarily really work. At least that's the early signs. That's what it seems like. That's probably an understatement. But community policing does work. And so
100%.
as you all are doing that, that is very, very much appreciated. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
Chief, I just have one question about incident 211, in that the last column is blank and the words possible threat, and I assume then that it was just some kid calling in because they didn't study for their algebra test?
It was determined to be what we call a swatting incident, where a person called in, stated there was going to be a shooting at that particular location, said they were, when asked for their location, it was a 12-year-old female, allegedly, said that they lived on a local street here in town. Myself and Officer Darby went up and started knocking on doors, and while Corporal Bird was doing some background here at the office, found out there was nobody by that name that she had given as the name. So we suspected it was false, but we didn't know for sure until the following day. During some follow-up, we found out that calls had been received from the same number that she called in to us with in other jurisdictions around the country. With the same type of incident. So yes, in answer to your question, somebody that was overly bored that happened to know certain street names here in town that wanted to tie our resources up for several hours and get us very upset thinking that this sort of thing could have happened. Thankfully, it was a scam, it was a fraud.
Excellent. And I'd also like to thank you for all the great work you and your men do, as usual. Our last meeting, it was a joy to get to see some people rewarded for their hard work.
I have more of that planned in the near future.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
always wonderful.
And along those lines, I'd like to report that what came out of that, in addition to the obvious, was that we've secured a contract with an AED supplier.
We have.
Can you
They're
speak
gonna-
to that for us, Chief?
I can. They're actually going to be delivered Friday. We've purchased 8 new AED units for the entire police department. That replaces the 15-year-old units that we've had in the past. So very thankful to have those. I think it's a valuable tool as we've seen. And hopefully by putting it in the hands of all the officers, we won't have to worry, is it in this car or in that car? Is it the station? We have them in each car, and hopefully we'll be able to recognize future officers for other life-saving incidents to come. So thank you for
Absolutely.
supporting that.
Absolutely. I think it's a big deal and very important to all of us. And the idea that we've got somebody maintaining them and making sure the batteries are
Yep.
always fresh and any obsolete equipment is being replaced. It's a great idea, so thank you.
Agree, thank you.
Okay.
Could I just mention
Yes,
real
please.
briefly, a couple other incidents were great proactive police work by our officers. And again, you always see a large number of patrol checks, and sometimes you may ask, why do we do so many patrol checks? But it really leads to detection and deterrence of crime, and I'll give you just a couple examples on this report. Patrol check number 21 SBD 00194. This was while we were keeping a very close eye on all our commercial businesses after the most recent burglaries, and our officers watched as two suspects, I should say subjects, pulled up to the smoking snack after closing and proceeded to go in when the lights were off in the store. So as it turned out, they didn't realize it was closed, and the clerk inside hadn't locked the doors. But very well could have turned out to be somebody going in there to commit a robbery, or right at closing with the lights out. So I thought that was excellent police work by our officers. Another case, and you'll hear Kirkner's name a couple times here tonight. Patrol check at Warfield. Actually, there's two particular cases here where he knows. I don't know how he does it, but he knows every single door and window and board that should be in place. And when he sees they're not, he takes the time to get out and investigate. And two cases here where he found broken windows and unlocked doors. He actually took the time to meet with the lady over there that's with the HFS management, and they walked the entire grounds and found actually more evidence of damage to some of the buildings. So again, great proactive work by Officer Kirkner. And one last one was, Kirkner again was doing a patrol check at the Shell station, again for the burglaries, when he noticed a pickup truck come up Raincliff and make a right onto 32 without stopping at the red light. Again, just a routine traffic stop. As it turns out, two juveniles had just gone over to Springfield Hospital Center and stole a security truck from the hospital center. And because of that running the red light, Officer Kirkner stopped them and was able to recover the truck and place charges against two juvenile suspects, neither of whom had a license.
Wow.
So just outstanding work by all our guys, and
We are
very proud to work with them and very proud of each and every one of them. They do a great job each and every day.
Thank you, Chief.
Correct. Welcome.
Okay, so that brings us to my bi-weekly question. Does any of the council members here have updates to share with the council regarding the commissions to which they are liaisons? Lisa?
So with Spark,
Sorry.
that's okay. More about the holiday. If we can just speak about kind of the initial plans for.
Still in the planning phases, but we're attempting to bring back the at least a version of the Santa's Arrival event. It's not going to be exactly the same, but we're efforting that right now.
So I know that. So the holidays are coming up.
Yes.
Spark is working on making sure Santa makes an appearance for the kids on Main Street. So, and that goes along with the Freedom announcement that just went out from the fire department that Santa will be out on the fire truck again this year as well. So,
Yay.
yeah.
I was looking at Sykesville back in the day, and Santa visited the town since probably before the 80s, but there's a picture of him visiting the town in the 80s. So this is an annual
Yes.
Sykesville.
Long-standing tradition.
Yes,
Huge.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
know two grown women, when they were little girls, that was a highlight of the year.
And are they your daughters?
Indeed they are.
yeah, for mine too, for my boys, getting into the caboose and getting the pictures, and my kids were devastated when Polaroid, film ran out and all of that. So,
Well, there shall
Yeah.
be no run out of film this Santa's trip down Main Street.
well, it was nice you could walk away with the Polaroids. I actually
course.
had multiple years of,
course.
but yes, Spark is looking at
Great.
making sure that happens this year. So
Thank you.
that everyone knows.
Yes.
And thank you for being there to lay mulch, even though, you know, I didn't make it either. But
Listen,
I didn't make
it actually was a very nice opportunity for anyone that was there for some community building and some, there were actually 2 young persons out with us. Linnea and Kate were their names, and or are their names, and they were very, very helpful and very, very much movers and shakers. And it's always inspiring to me, actually, to see 2 young people or any young person caring and working, and no adult, you know, behind them and encouraging them. They're doing it all on their own, and they worked real hard with us for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I wasn't there on time, so everyone else there was starting at 9. The steam was still rising off the pile of mulch.
I like the cold that morning.
It was cold that
A
morning.
little chilly out there.
It was, but we warmed up pretty fast, so, but no problem.
So, yeah, and just, I mean, just to all the council members, especially I think for this Christmas, it's gonna be a heavy lift for, we don't have the resources that we've had in past years to pull off Santa on Main Street, so any elves or assistance that, you know, we can all do, I think, to make that happen. Just given the 2 years that we've had, I think the town needs it.
Yeah,
But it's gonna
For
have
sure.
to be all hands on deck to support Spark in getting this
that's a
working.
good point. Thank you, Lisa. And we
Are there any details about how to do assistance that you could share with us via email or anything?
When it comes out,
Okay.
so in the last meeting, it was just decided that Spark would take this on. They have not done this in the past. It's been other parts of the town that have put it together, so. I know there's a lot of tradition
Yeah.
in,
It's a
you know,
learning
between
opportunity for
movies and,
Yeah,
what?
it's a learning.
opportunity for all of us.
It is, so I mean, anyone that wants to participate and can definitely join our next, you know, could they join our next Spark meetings or planning
Yes,
meeting?
actually, they're meeting next Thursday, because again, their regular meeting would actually fall on Thanksgiving, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think just getting that, but I mean, we've got the connection with the railroad or the
SUV
mini
rail-
railroad.
yeah, SUV, mhm.
But, you know, the movies, the Santa, the lighting of the tree, the
Yes.
lining kids up, all the fun stuff.
We will work out the logistics, and then we will put out a call for assistance
Yeah.
and volunteers as needed. Thank you,
Mhm.
Lisa. Anything from HCC? Hasn't met yet? Okay,
Planning Commission did not meet,
okay,
so,
thank you.
no.
Thank you. So at this point, are there any other items from council or staff?
I would like to make an
Yay, I'm
announcement.
glad you're gonna make this announcement publicly.
I found out who, so that's good. Through MML, I was recommended to join a commission with the governor's office on trauma-informed care
Excellent.
for the state of Maryland, and actually was appointed. So I will be representing small towns.
Well, that
On
is
that
huge for
commission.
us. I don't know if the people here in this room realize that. That's good news, and it's big for Sykesville and big for the council, and I'm proud of you. Thank you, Lisa. Great.
Marilyn, real quick, I just didn't get to talk about DSC.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Because I'm down here at the kids' table
I
now.
looked to you first. No, I looked to you first, and I figured since I didn't get eye contact, you didn't have anything. I am so sorry. Councilman Leo Keenan, please provide us your Downtown Sykesville Connection Liaison Report to the council.
That's okay, and it's really brief. We do have the craft beer festival this Saturday, 12 to 4. In
Is that
Maryland.
this weekend?
This weekend.
Well played, Chief.
And it'll be chilly, it'll be in the 50s, but it should be a good sunny day.
But there'll be no chili.
There will be no chilly, but it
Just
will
the
be
beer.
cold. The Maryland Department of Health will be there at the festival. They'll have a booth for vaccine and booster shots if anybody wants it. We are currently raising funds for the annual Sykesville Happy-Thon, which, excuse me, for the last, I want to say 7-8 years now, has been raising money for the underprivileged kids in Sykesville so that they can have a good Christmas. Currently at $8,175. $3,000 of that has come from a donation from Walmart. But we are still collecting money for that. There is now a Get Psyched gift card that you can get from the Downtown Sykesville Connection webpage that goes toward the 28 shops that are on the program. So it's a good gift for someone if you don't have your Christmas gifts lined up yet. And finally, The DSC was awarded a $10,000 federal grant through a program called SHARP, which is going to help towards our operating funds.
Awesome.
The,
That's
the
huge.
gift card is tied to Happy-a-thon or not?
No, it's
No,
separate.
it's not.
That's a completely separate thing.
Thank you.
Councilman Keenan, can you once again tell me what does the grant go to? I'm sorry.
Operating funds.
Okay, thank you.
Help make up for the money we're
Yes.
not making from the events.
From
That
last
didn't
year.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. Sorry for the
Thanks.
oversight.
No, it's okay.
Is the DSC still looking for an events coordinator?
Yes, sorry, I did miss that. Next week, we are interviewing, I want to say 6 people. That'll be myself, Julie, and the board president, Dana Alonzi. We're interviewing. They narrowed down the list, and we've got interviews lined up for next week.
Good luck with that.
So that's my evenings next week. So,
And how long on the Happy-a-thon are we collecting funds for?
that's a good question. Usually it runs to the end of November so that Julie has enough time to gather up as much as she can with the donated funds.
Thank you.
And there's an uptick in the number of families this year. Every year it's been
Every
growing,
year.
and
Mhm.
it's like, I wish I had it in front of me, but it's like a good 25% more that have been identified as qualifying, if you will, as recipients or worthy recipients of Christmas gifts, where they
And
might otherwise not have any.
As I recall, last year it was like 73, 75, somewhere in that ballpark.
That does.
I believe so. That's probably right.
Yeah.
And I think it's just below 100 at this point, 90 something this year,
Okay.
so, yeah.
That's sad, but it's an amazing event. I've been to it in past, and it just brings tears to my eyes, how the children and their families are so grateful that
Yeah.
they have something.
Because it's not just the kids too. Oftentimes there's enough, I guess the word would be generosity, to sustain gifts, not just for the kiddos, but sometimes gift cards for the parents and or meals for Christmas Day. So it's really genius. Yeah, and Walmart's been a huge sponsor, as Leo mentioned. Okay, I don't have any big news bigger than any of that. So anyone else? Are we set?
Motion to adjourn?
There it is. Thank you, Councilman Grassley.
Second.
Second from Jeremiah Schofield. Thank you. All in favor of closing the meeting?
Aye.
That's a unanimous. We are officially adjourned at 7:47 p.m. Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming.
Recording stop.